What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another honorable mention, where today I wanted to take a look at a very interesting game. Right? You guys know I've been getting more into D&D and stuff like that, as you can see from my shelf over here. And recently, of course I say recently, but this was a few months ago, maybe a year ago at this point, I did back a really interesting Kickstarter that is called Humblewood, right? Now, if you're in the D&D sphere, you've probably seen this game in a lot of places. It was pretty much sponsored on every single video for quite some time, and so there's no surprise that Humblewood actually managed to get over $1 million on their Kickstarter before the actual thing finished. If you give me one moment, I'll switch to that. So, as you can see here, they managed to get $1,001,085. So they did a fantastic job, and they managed to deliver very well on their project here. I pledged $50 with $15 for shipping, so $65 total. Sorry about that misspoken word there. And as you can see here, it comes with a PDF of the deluxe print and play game. You know, I can print out the actual PDF of the game, which I will show right now. There we go. This is the campaign setting PDF that came with the game, or that came with the Kickstarter. It's very well written, in my opinion. This is like on par with any other D&D book that you may purchase really anywhere at your local game store or anything like that. I think it's really, really awesome. But before we do that, let's go back and head to the other scene so we can show what came in this box. So, as I mentioned before, this is the actual box right here. Here's the top. This is the actual book you get for the $50 pledge. There is a higher pledge that was for $100, but about a year ago I wasn't really sure if I wanted to buy into Humblewood. I wasn't really sure how much it would, you know, like how far they would take this. But it seems like they did a really good job, and I do kind of wish that I had gone for the $100 one for the Alderheart edition. It would have had like a flaming gold surface here with a big H. I thought it was really, really cool. And perhaps if I can get my hands on a copy of it later on down the line, I would have no problem purchasing it. But let's take a look at what else came in this box. There's also this really neat card. They gave a thank you card. I'll put something up here for you to see what it says in this beautiful white space here. But don't worry about it for now. It came with several maps that are really, really much higher quality than I expected. I kind of expected them to just kind of be like paper, but this looks like some sort of cardstock or something that's been laminated. And these are maps that are relevant to the actual game, and they're double-sided, so they are maps that are relevant to the adventure that is listed within the actual book, and we'll get into that in just a second. Just want to show all these really quick. These are really well made. It seems like they'll definitely stand up to wear and tear over time. Like eventually I'm sure they'll fall apart, but as of right now these are really, really nice. They're well made. I'm sorry about the light, it's kind of hard to see anything because of the glare, but again, these are laminated. They're very well made. They're sturdy. They have titles of where they belong. Like for example, this one has Susan's Hut. And for the sake of not spoiling anyone who's actually interested in playing through the storyline, I will not tell you all of the locations, but just know that these are actually fantastic and far more interesting and well made than I actually expected them to be. And this is the map of the entire world. I don't know if this is relevant or if it's going to spoil anything for players. However, this is the map of the entire world. I really wish that I had gotten one of the cloth rollout ones, because I would have loved to frame that or something like that. I thought that would be kind of cool. But unfortunately, again, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to commit to Humblewood when it was coming out on Kickstarter, and perhaps at some point I'll buy a upgraded version of the stuff that I already have. Now, outside of these maps, it also came with these Humblewood reference cards, which is something that honestly, this is what I was most excited to get, right? Like, these are cards for all of the characters. I'm trying not to spoil anything. So I mentioned Susan's little hut, right? Well, this is a card for, oh shit, oh shoot. This is like a card for Susan, right? Like Susan of the Swamp. You can barely make that out on the bottom. It's kind of hard to read. But this is a card for that exact character. And, you know, like it has cards for every character. I think there are 72 cards in here. Now, on the topic of these cards, there is one thing I'm a little disappointed with, right? And it doesn't have anything to do with the make or the quality of the cards. These cards are fantastic. But it's kind of what I've expected from the deck of many, because the deck of many made these, right? I think they're also involved in general with Humblewood, Hit Point Press, and stuff like that. I think they're all one conglomerate group, but I'm not sure, right? Don't quote me on that. So, what I wanted to say is that I'm a little disappointed because I know that I was supposed to get an animated deck of cards, and I was really hoping to be able to show those off and review those on here, because I think that the idea of animated cards is fantastic, right? I think it's a pretty cool idea, and I was really hoping to be able to get those physical animated cards for my collection, right? But unfortunately, just through some circumstance, those did not mail to me, and as a result, I don't actually have those. Now, I've sent in a support ticket to support@hitpointpress.com, and I'm hoping that sometime soon they'll have those shipped to me, and then when they get here, I'll make sure to make another video covering what exactly they are and like how cool they are. But as of right now, I unfortunately don't have them, and that kind of sucks. But with that out of the way, we can go into the last thing that is in the box, and it is the Punch-Out Standees, which are, I think these are really cool. I'm not a huge fan of standees in general, just because I don't really play campaigns where I need physical boards. I'm more of a theater of the mind type of person. But considering they also gave me battle maps and like all this types of cool stuff, like these will come in handy specifically for these maps. It also comes with these little holders that you place the standee or the little Punch-Out Standee into, so that you actually have a figure on the board, right? In addition to that, I know that on the website they were also offering minis, right? There's a mini Aspect of Fire, which is this really cool thing, which truthfully I should have gotten. There's like a bright orange one that I really wish I had had the money to spend on it. But unfortunately, I'm in college. I don't have the money to waste, really. Of course, as I say that, glaring over at my Doom Hammer that I purchased recently. My whole point is that I think that the minis that they made are probably really cool. I don't know if they've already shipped yet. I don't have any physical examples of them, so I can't tell you whether or not they're great. However, from the images that I've seen of them, they do look pretty cool. And maybe over in this area, or over here, I will have an image of the renders that they made for these minis. And so you can decide for yourself if you want to purchase them. I know that they will be on the store later on. So if you're interested in picking those up, then you can probably check out their store, head over there whenever those are available. Make sure you can check that out. So now that everything in the box has been covered, this box, we're going to take a look at the adventure module that is within Humblewood. And not just the adventure module. We're gonna also take a look at what races they added, like the entire purpose of the book, right? So let's go ahead and switch over to the other camera. All right, and so as you can see here, Humblewood is designed completely around the concept of like playing with bird folk and cute, cuddly animals. And truthfully, that's what made me buy into it. Like, you could just say that to me and I would have paid for this, right? When I first saw an advertisement for Humblewood, I was just looking at the concept of playing as like a giant raccoon, right? Like, that's pretty cool. As you can see here, you can be a giant raccoon. The Mapak, I believe they're called. And in addition to that, you can be an owl, which is like one of my favorite animals, like between owls and bears, or in the case of, owl bears. I really like the concept. So you play as bird folk and humble folk, and you go on these adventures throughout the entire world of Everden. I believe Everden is the world, or something like that. I haven't read completely through this. I apologize. I just got this book today. I've been reading through the PDF over the course of a few months, and like some of it is just I've forgotten. So, as you can see here, there's a bunch of different races. You can play as the Corvum, which are ravens, crows, I believe. I'm not super into birds. I don't know a whole lot about birds. I apologize, Commander Holly. I know this is your type of thing. So there are the Gallus, which I believe are like chickens, which is pretty cool. I mean, like, who wouldn't want to be a big chicken monk, right? Like, that's pretty awesome. There's the Luma, which I believe are pigeons. And there are raptors and all types of cool birds. There's the Strig, which I believe are owls. And then you goes into like the cute, cuddly, furry folk, like the Servan. I believe it's Servan or Curvin. I think it's Servan, which are deer. There's the Hedge, which are hedgehogs. Like, look at him, he's awesome, right? Like, this is something I saw in the promotional art and I thought it was beautiful, but like having it in a physical book now is even better. I can look at it whenever I want. There's a mouse, and they are the Gerbine. There's the Mufhak, which are the raccoons. There's the Vulpin, which are of course the foxes, and that's pretty much it. I think there are other races that are going to be included later. Like, I believe there's a cat race that is included that I just think it hasn't been added to this yet. I think that they're making probably like a version 2.0 at some point that'll probably cover that. But as of right now, they exist, but they're not a playable race. You could probably homebrew it if you really wanted to, though. I mean, it's D&D. You can do whatever you want. And this has like their size scales, right? Like the Strig is pretty short, Hedge is medium sized, and the Raptors are fairly large, right? But they also come in all types of different sizes. So you can, like, it's D&D, again, you can do whatever you want. Now this is something that I thought was really, really cool, right? So they made their own font for Humblewood called Humble Scratch. And, you probably can see it in my thumbnail. I probably used it in the thumbnail. If not, I will put some of it right in this area so that you can have a fantastic view of it. And I think it's just really, really cool because, like, the idea of making letters to me just is like a cool concept. They added some new classes for, I think it's just Bard that got something. No. I think Bard and Cleric. Yeah, Bard and Cleric got something new. I won't go into detail on these because, frankly, I'm not comfortable enough talking about the mechanics of Bard or Cleric. So just know that there are new, domains for Cleric and colleges for Bard, and they're really cool, right? Like, I think that as far as the style of them, they're very cool. Like, Cleric has the community domain, which is all about like getting people together and having friendship and stuff like that. And then there is the Night domain, which is like your spooky, we see through the darkness type of World of Warcraft Shadow Priest style Cleric. And both of them are really, really cool. And Bard is more about taking the things you learn from your friends and people you meet along the way and learning their skills, like the College of the Road, like the people you meet along your road, the travels that you go on, the stories that they tell you give you new neat tricks. Which again, I don't want to go super far into detail about how they work because I don't really know the mechanics that well. However, just know that I think they're really, really cool. Let me zoom in a little bit because I realized that it's probably hard for you guys to see. All right, let's go with this. I hope that's a little better. You guys can probably read through it now. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, they had I didn't even notice this. They added a fighter archetype, the martial archetype, which I think is pretty cool. So I think they added that pretty recently. I don't remember seeing that the last time I looked through here. So, if you're interested in fighter, bard, or cleric, there are new things for you in this book, and they're cool. And you can take them outside of Humblewood if you want, I'm sure, depending on your DM. It's D&D, you can do whatever you want. So there are new backgrounds. I'm not going to go into these because I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose if I tell you what all the backgrounds are. I would recommend. I mean, I recommend picking the book up. I think it's $30 for the book. It's not that expensive, I don't think. It was $50 for the entire pack, so I can't imagine it's $50 for just the book. It's cheaper than a normal D&D book, so highly recommend it. Let's see. There are new feats and stuff like this. So like, because you're a bird or because you're a raccoon or like a cuddly animal, you have different feats that a human probably wouldn't have, right? Like aerial expert, you can glide, right? Or perfect landing. I think this is a really good one. Like you can fall more gracefully so that you reduce falling damage when you fall. I think that's pretty cool. They're designed in such a way where like your character is a bird or like a raccoon or like a rat. So if you drop a rat, it's not going to like break its spine depending on the height. I don't want to go too far in that. So yeah, it's designed around that concept. There's new spells, which are again are animalistic themed, like ambush prey. Like that's pretty cool. Feathered reach, gust barrier. These are all really, really cool spells. This makes me so upset that I didn't get my freaking animated spell cards. A little bit sad, a little bit disappointed, but you know, these will have to do for now until they send them to me. So this goes over like the world. I'm not gonna go too far into this because I think that it would be a little bit excessive. However, I will talk a little bit about the adventure that exists in Humblewood. Oh, this also talks about the deities, right? Like the domains, the gods and stuff like that, which is super cool. They went really far over what I expected from this book. I didn't expect them to have like deities and stuff like that. I expected them to just be like, well, just make up your own. But no, they did a fantastic job. They really spent the time and effort to get this done. Okay, let's see. Come on. Let's see if I can get to the adventure. Okay, so this is the adventure in the wood. This section will probably have spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, I recommend going to the end of the video actually. But I'm going to begin talking about the spoilers now. So the campaign is designed for adventurers from between level 1 to 5, right? Or it'll take you from level 1 to 5. And it just goes over an adventure that happens in the Alderheart, the Humblewood itself, Everden, the entire world, right? Like the things that happen in this adventure are pretty much relevant to the entire world and the entire concept of Humblewood, because it's about like a great forest fire that's sort of like returning. That it was once a dormant thing, but it's sort of returning and it's burning down the forest around the great tree in the middle. And your characters are going on an adventure to figure out why this is happening, and how they can stop it, and like who is behind this sort of chaos. Without spoiling too much, it ends up being a fair bit more involved than I expected it to be. When I first picked up Humblewood, I kind of expected it to be like a pretty quick sort of, you fight the big, like you find out things are burning down and then you go fight the monster and then that's the end of it. But there are actual politics involved, which is what I really was not expecting. Like there's this sort of like different stratification of classes within, how do I do this without explaining it? So within the great tree in the center, I believe it's the Alderheart tree or whatever. I'm terrible at these names. It's been a few months since I've read through this. Within that tree, there's a stratification of classes where the people who can fly, the bird folk, sort of live at the top of the tree, and then the humble folk live at the bottom in the roots, right? Well, I mean, like for obvious reasons, right? You probably don't want like someone who can't fly to be climbing branches, right? They're just gonna fall and hurt themselves, right? And it's a massive tree. So there's a type of political intrigue designed around the concept of, well, how do I make sure that we stop bandits, which are normally humble folk, without sort of like oppressing them and then also recruiting them to the cause of stopping the great fire, or the aspect of fire, which is the big burning monster I showed you earlier. I think that it has really interesting character development for almost all of the NPCs you talk to on the way to completing this goal. And the things that you do throughout the adventure actually have ramifications on the way the universe develops around your characters. And I know that's sort of vague and like that's a lot of non-speak, but like, for example, there's a situation where you go to a bandit outpost and you have to decide whether or not you want to kill the leader or let her live, right? And the choice you make in that scenario decides how the council at the tree, it decides how they want to handle the humble folk, right? Because if you let her live, then she becomes sort of like part of the tree. She sort of like inspires the humble folk to try to do better, and like the bandit problem sort of solves itself. Like there still are bandits, but for the most part, there are less of them because you've sort of gotten their leader to work alongside the bird folk. And it goes into the depth about how the reason that the humble folk are being bandits is because they can't really make ends meet without doing illegal stuff. And this goes back to the whole stratification of classes within the tree. And so you sort of take these concepts and you extrapolate them and you expand upon them to the point where it is now related to how the aspect of fire is attacking the tree and attacking the forest around the tree. Again, I don't want to spoil too much. I probably won't say too much more. I really want you guys to go out and pick this book up. Like, again, this is not a sponsored video, right? Not at all. But I think that this belongs in any set of D&D books. I think that if you get this, if you're a fan of D&D, if you like cute animals, right? Even if you don't, right? You could probably take this concept and remove the animals entirely, and it would still be a good campaign. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about the campaign, about the adventure involved. If you guys are interested, now we can talk about the magical items. If I have them somewhere in here, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the character sheet just really quickly, because I think this is super cool. So they made a whole character sheet, and not just in one style. They made it in 3 different styles. This is a nighttime theme, which is something I'm going to use, right? As an astronomer myself, I love nighttime and being able to see stars. So the night theme one is really cool. This is our daytime theme, our fancy theme, right? Like, look at this beautiful, what's the word for this? Like the roots and trees and limbs and stuff growing all around this is absolutely fantastic. I think this is beautiful. They did a really good job with this, and I'm probably going to use these for adventures like in the future, even if I'm not using Humblewood, just because these are really well made. And then this is our standard daytime theme one. This is still really good. I mean, I think that like if you have the nighttime one or the fancy one, definitely go with the fancy one or the nighttime one. But these are still absolutely beautiful, and I'm gonna use all 3 of them. So that out of the way, we can take a look at the magical items. Now, as someone who likes to DM, I think the magical items are something I prefer to read through, just because I like to see the thought process behind how they were made, or like what I could possibly use these for, like, or how I could give these out to players if they've done a good job, or like design an adventure around it. You know, just like these are fun. I love magical items. So the fact that they gave a big list of new magical items is really quite awesome. Like, look at these greaves for a big bird. Like, these are awesome. Talons of the Squall. Awarded to those who pass tests of endurance administered by priests of Altus. These leg bracers seem to crackle with a faint energy. While you wear them, you gain the following benefits. You have resistance to lightning damage. Cool. You roll all saving throws and ability checks made to resist being moved by strong winds with advantage. Cool. Because again, remember that like you're going to be in a giant tree. There's going to be like wind whipping around and like, you know, birds and blowing gusts of wind at you. Like, using your imagination, you can find so many cool ways to use so many of these items. You do not suffer disadvantage on range attack rolls or perception checks while in strong winds or under conditions of heavy rain or snowfall. If you possess a fly speed, you can fly normally under such conditions. That's pretty awesome. Also, I want to point out that I love the fact that Humblewood has taken into account that like flying is going to be a thing because these are birds. A lot of them glide, but flying is definitely a thing. So it's not like most D&D campaigns where flying absolutely breaks everything. Like the verticality of being a bird actually makes the campaign more interesting in my opinion. So, you know, do with that what you will. This is like a jetpack, but like but like without the jet. This is super cool. Like, I'm super intrigued by the concept of playing like a raccoon tinkerer who sort of like builds all these really cool things and then, you know, like uses them. I know that was a really lame, like didn't use a lot of thought with that one, but whatever. But yeah, look at all these, like these items are just really, really cool and they're fantastically drawn. Like these are absolutely beautiful. And that's pretty much it. I don't think that there's anything else I can say about Humblewood. I have enjoyed what I've gotten. I wish I had gotten my animated spell cards. I'm a little upset still, but I'm sure they'll get here when they get here. So if you guys enjoy this, if you're interested in playing Humblewood, if there's anyone who wouldn't be mind, or if there's anyone who wouldn't mind playing Humblewood online via Discord or Roll20 or anything, feel free to let me know. I would absolutely love to play this with anyone who's interested. I'll probably try to run some in real life campaigns for this as well. And you guys are welcome to join my Discord. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on YouTube, anything, Twitch, and let me know and we can definitely set up some games. I would love to play. So with that out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This has been my third honorable mention, and I think that honorable mentions in general are doing pretty okay on my channel considering how small it is. So I'm gonna try to continue doing these. I actually really enjoy this. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more reviews on random cool stuff that I find, for more honorable mentions, and I will see you next time. Peace out.